So, good morning, everyone. Today, my group mates and I are going to present our programming technique to final project. So, we had to choose a case study based on e-commerce. And according to that, me, Mohsen, along with my group mates, Hilman, Fikri, and Riza, decided to choose a case study that will help us implement all the requirements of this project while also being relevant to our current time. So we thought about making an online e-delivery system. So we have various examples of that in real life, such as Foodpanda and GrabFood. And we try to make something similar because it is very relevant to our current time. In a time when we have social distancing and curfews, we can realize how important something like a online food delivery system can be very important. Because e-commerce is the way forward, and a lot of businesses realize that. Like especially in our time of Corona, you're not able to conduct business as usual and have to innovate, and that means moving online where you're not limited by your physical capabilities. So if you look at the project, um, we first had to start making some classes because we're not doing procedural programming, we're doing object-oriented programming. And so as far as that is concerned, we have all our data and all our code in specific classes that are related to each other through concepts like inheritance and polymorphism, as my group mates are going to explain later. So, starting with the customer class, this is where it all begins. This is where we get our data from our customer uh, data, such as like what their name is, where like their phone number, their address, because they're the ones who are purchasing something from us and using our platform. So that's why in our customer class, we've got the private variables, name, phone, address, and they come from our public class where we have, in the constructor, we've got the same strings of the same. And that data, of course, comes through our getLine functions for name, for phone number, and for address. And finally, we've got a display function, which is again void, which gives you the user details such as their name, phone number, and address. And moving on.
So continue to the next. Since we want to have three different kind of restaurants, and each restaurant should have their own menus, so we would like to have the class for each menu, each menu is for the restaurant. Since we have the since we have three restaurants, so we will have three different class of menu. So here we are for the first class menu restaurant. Here class menu restaurant, we have private member, string menu 1, menu 2, and menu 3. So for the restaurant one, we will have three different menus and their own prices. So integer price 1, price 2, and price 3. So for the public member, here's the constructor for menu res 1. We use string A, string B, and string C, and integer D, E, F. And we use the this function to set the variable from the private member to variable from the parameter, so we can access the private member. And here is the function for this to display the menu and the prices. And here we use the friend class order so that the order function can access some functions from the public member. and also the private member. For the next is same thing, menu rest 2. For this restaurant 2, we will have 4 different menus. So for string and for integer for the prices. And we use the same public function. We use the constructor and use this function to assign the variable from the private, and we use the void display to display the menu and their prices. Same things as the menu registry. Here we will have 5 menus, and so 5 prices, and use the constructor and display function. And also don't forget the friend class order so that the class order can access this menu rest class. And for the restaurant class, here for the private member, we use 3 strings, res1, res2, and res3, and menu1, menu2, menu3. Here we got the menu from the class menu rest. And for the public, here we have the restaurant and the parameter here, string A, B, C, and menu rest 1 until 3, and their initial process, rest 1A, and rest 2B, rest 3C, menu 1, menu 2, menu 3. And here we have the void display name to display all of the restaurant name. And so the display menu to display menu 1 to display the menu from the restaurant 1, and display menu 2 to display the restaurant from the restaurant 2, and void display menu 3 to display the menu from the restaurant 3. And that's it.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ananda Rizal Pratomo and I'm from Group Bujang. Today I'm going to present about our program. Okay, so let's jump right into it. Then this is the output. Okay, so just type, and then the user can pick where do they want to order. So one, and then insert order amount for, I guess. The program will ask the user if they want to order or they done with let's say the user wants to order more. So type no, and then what do you want to order again? So cheeseburger one, and done. So the program, the final output will be like this. It will display the user details, the order ID, and the order that the user ordered. What happen if the user put the wrong input? For unrecognizable input. What happen if the user insert for while there is no for in the menu? Unrecognizable input. Down. Okay, no amount. Price. That is all for this demo. Thank you for your attention, doctor, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Umar Fahmi. I'm here to talk with the order class and also the main function from our program. So first of all, here we have a few private member variables. So the first one is the integer. Here we have the integer ID and also element of P. So integer ID is for is basically the ID of the user, and element of P is to store the amount of the order that made by the customer, and then we have here the double total, which store the total price from the order, and here we have the declaration for the customer and the menus from the other restaurants. Okay, so here we go to the public. So here is the constructor of the initializing. As you can see here, and we go to the first void function here. This one is get order one, which get the order from the first restaurant, and then we also have get order two, and then we have get order three, which is very similar, but the differences is only from the which restaurant that we order from. So this one is from the second restaurant, and get order three is from the third restaurant. Okay, so we get into this void, get order one. So here we have a string 1, 2, and 3 for us to choose which fruit that we want to order. Then here we have the integer y and z. So integer y is to store the amount of food that we order, but it's only temporary. That we only use in this part right here, in the choosing process. Then we show it in the confirmation, but it's only temporary and not shown in the receipt. Okay, so here we choose how many food. Before that we choose which food that we want to order, and then we store it in the input string right here, and then we compare it. So if the input is 1, then that it means that we choose the first food of that restaurant. So here, as you can see, the first menu of the first restaurant, and then we input the amount, we store it in the y, and then the y is going to store it in the L value. L value to be shown later in the receipt output. And then here, as you can see, this is the calculation for the total price, which multiply the amount of food and then multiply by the price of that food. Then we store it in the total. And then the z is just a temporary price of the amount of food that we order, but it only shown here in the confirmation, but not in the receipt. So here is the second. It is basically the same, but the only differences is the menu and the price, and also where we store the amount of food, which is in this case is M. So the first one is stored in L, and then the second one is stored in M, and then the third one is stored in M with the third menu from the first restaurant, and then the third price from the first restaurant, as you can see. And then else if the user input a wrong input, for example 0 or more than 3, 4 and above, it's going to show here unrecognizable input. Okay, so after we done ordering, we type in done, and then we store the answer in the ANS ANS value. But if the user answer no, then we're going to go here to restart the ordering process. Then here is the receipt. As you can see here, this is the ID order, and then here this is the customer display, which display the customer data from the customer class, and then here is the total, all the food that the user has ordered. As you can see here, it's shown here the menu and then the amount, and then the same the menu and then the amount, and then in the end we show the total price of the whole ordering process. It's the same with the second one, but the difference is this one has 4 menus, so we have another house if, and then we store it in the O. But the rest is the same. As you can see here, it has 4 menus instead of 3, and then the same with the get order tree. You get the data from the third restaurant menu, and then it's basically the same, but here we have 5 food, so we store it in the P, and then this is the receipt, the same. We show the amount of food, and then we show the total price. Okay, so that's it for the class order, and then we go to the main function. Here we initialize the constructor with the value. So as you can see here, this is the food of the restaurants, and then the price from the first from the restaurant 1, 2, and 3, and then also the restaurant name, which store the restaurant menu. So that we go to here, which is the main menu of our program, and then we get the data of the customer, and then we store it in the order class. So order class has all the data from this program, and then here we have the option to choose which restaurant that we want to order from, and then here we press the display name, which basically display the here the names of the restaurant, and then we input the choice. Then then we compare the choice that we made to the choice string, and then we compare to the string 1, 2, and 3. If we choose 1, and then we go to the first restaurant. If we choose 2, and then we go to the second restaurant. If we choose 3, then we go to the third restaurant. And then if we put in another input 0 and 3 and 4 above, 4 and above, then we get the unrecognizable input, which is going to stop the program. I think that's it for the explanation for the main function and the order class. Thank you, and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.